Okay, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So a bit of a different view this time. We're going to be at the bench for this video. I'm just going to give you a run round of some of the stuff that I've got for the Airfix 48 scale Buccaneer S.2B, the RAF boxing. Now I had pre-recorded some footage showing most of everything that I've got for this build, but I just tried to download it, and for whatever reason my phone did not connect to my computer properly, and it's corrupted and lost the footage. Not a major, because it was only probably about 5 minutes worth of footage, which everything I'm gonna use here in this build I'm going to show you at different stages anyway, rather than go through everything in one go, give you a huge long video, me waffling on. So I'll just break it down into stages: cockpit, wheelbase, etc, etc. And I'll go through each set that I've used for the build. So right off the bat, today is Monday evening, New Zealand time, the 25th of March. I actually started on some of this on Saturday, being the 23rd. So I've already made some progress just to get things fitted, and where they're not necessarily fitted, but measurements, things where they're going to sit, and marker lines, etc, etc, and some parts that have been cleaned up. So in that vein then, what I've actually started on, or am starting on, is the nose section. Got this, the two sides of the forward fuselage, as well as the back plate that sits on the back. Now, because I'm going to be using a resin cockpit, I've had to do a fair bit of work to this, in that I can take this apart and show you. Good old Tamiya tape holds everything together nicely. But I'll make a few notes here right off the bat. I mean, the engraving is very, very nice. It's very sharp. Some fasteners there on the access panels. This is a lot better than, already I can see this is a lot better than the original boxing of the Airfix Buccaneer. This is a whole nother level. I didn't expect it to be quite this good. So just a few things I've done here. I've drilled the mounting holes for the boarding ladder. Those are drilled out. This is all dry fit, so I can take this apart and show you what's been done here. So for the purposes of using the Neomega resin cockpit, I've had to remove all of the internal detail from both sides of the cockpit here. So that's all been sanded, flushed, ejector pins gone. These ejector pins, they're not a deal breaker. Once you put everything into the cockpit, by the look of it, you're not going to see it, so you could get away without dealing to those during your assembly process. Maybe this one here, and it's reflected the same here. These lower ones, it may foul with the kit landing gear bay, maybe not. I'm using a resin one, and it doesn't appear to foul at all on those. So I've done some cleanup here after sanding. Just went over with some Tamiya extra thin just to clean up the dust or anything that was in there. It does a pretty good job of that. For the back plate, the Neo Mega set, I might as well show you, this is the boxing. The Neo Mega set actually requires you to use part B7, which is this part right here, and you have to completely remove all of the detail. It has all the circuit breakers, a rail or something for the ejector seat. So that's all been removed, sanded flush. I've made some markers here, which is where the top of the cockpit framing is going to sit. So the back of the cockpit mounts to this plate, and that's my top markers there. It's going to sit just slightly proud of the cockpit sill there, but that's my marker. I've got markers here for the back and the front. Not gonna worry too much about the other side. I want to get at least one side marked up with reference points for that. So going on to the cockpit set that I'm using. So as I say, it's from Neo Mega. I used their Neo Mega set before on the old Airfix kit, and it wasn't too bad. In fact, I think I used one as well on a Revell 48 scale F-15 Strike Eagle. I know I've definitely used one before. It may have been on the old Buccaneer, but now the kit cockpit itself, frankly, is pretty bland. It does make you, the instructions make you insert various boxes and the instrument panels onto this, but frankly I'm actually really quite disappointed at how bland that cockpit is. It's, even without all the gubbins on it, it's really bland, really bland. So that's why I'm going to do this properly and going with the resin cockpit. So I've just got the instrument panels, the seats, and the bulkhead with the rear seat instruments there. Now, how accurate this is, I don't know. I need to look at reference photos, but it's an awful lot better than what you get here. You know, there's an awful lot of detail in there, and with a coat of paint, some subtle dry brushing, attention to reference material, that's going to paint up quite nice. The Buccaneer is a busy cockpit, much in the way like the Phantom. You know, so there's no comparison, you know. Frankly, that can go away. So so this cockpit tub mounts onto the backing plate there, and it's going to align with my markers on the top there. Don't know if you can see that. So this part was actually warped quite heavily, both this way and downwards. So I dipped it in hot water and then clamped it to the backing plate where it needed to be, and it straightened out quite nicely. So obviously I spent a lot of time. All of this came on casting blocks, as well as the cockpit sidewalls. These are extremely thin. How I never managed to break these, I do not know. As I say, I've marked them all with what side and area they go on. So as I say, these were all on casting blocks. I had to cut them off and then sand down. So as you can see, I actually went through the floor there. However, those holes are going to be right at the back where the seats are going to sit. So you're not going to see that. So I'm not too worried about it. I could put something over that, but I'm not too worried at all. So so onto the seats. The seats are really well detailed. How much of it is accurate and how much of it is just a blob, I'm not sure. Again, they're a lot better than the kit seats. We've got all integrated seat belts. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to use these because there is so much detail on that. And without a steady enough hand, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that justice. However, I do have the Edward seats, which are really nice. If not, maybe a little bit bland compared to the Omega seats. They seem slightly bigger too. They do seem bigger. The Omega seats, they do sit. I'm not sure how accurately they sit, but they do actually sit proud of the floor. You know, they do sit in there. So once I clip these off, I will do some test fitting. These came from the Edward Brazin set, which contains wheels, ejection seats, and the two-face, or the T-face, however they call it, 3D printed instrument panels. And I may use a sort of hybrid of between the 3D printed parts and the Neo Omega parts. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do both the Edward seats. And this comes with all the photo etch. I've got all the seat cushions in here with various other parts. So I think my best approach is to paint up both of these and do all the photo etch on the Edward seats, do all the dry brushing and washes on the Neo Omega seats, and then I'll decide which ones I think I'm going to use. I think it's only fair to do both without seeing what the final outcome is. Just so that I'm happy in my own mind as to which one looks better. So I think that's going to be the best approach. The instrument panels themselves, you've got all the appropriate display screens, mostly for the pave spike pod and electronic jamming. But I think what I'm going to do with these, particularly with the Neo Omega instrument panels, is paint them up and see if the kit decals are of any use to actually place over the top of these, and see if that actually improves anything versus the 3D printed parts. The 3D printed parts do seem a bit plain in certain areas, so so I think that's going to be my approach to this. So I'll just put these to one side. Now the other set that I'm going to be using in conjunction with the cockpit, because the two are going to have to be assembled roughly at the same time, is a set from Metallic Details. Now they've come up with a 3D printed set for the landing gear legs, both the main gears and the nose gear, as well as the actual nose gear bay, which sits underneath the cockpit tub. So in there we get, pull this out, you get instructions with it. Packaging's really nice. Each gear leg is separately packaged, all with the appropriate linkages, brake units, wheel hubs, and the actual pins. This is an amazing thing. They've actually got pins that go in here which actually insert into the joints, because the leg is in sort of two parts, and there's a series of, I think it's 5 or 6 pins which go through the joints. So it's an actuating joint, which is, I've never seen that before. Also get the we get wheels or tires with them. I've had a look at the Edward wheels, which these don't have any slight compression on them, i.e., weighted wheels. And the Edward ones, the tread on the tires is a bit more defined, and it has that weighted relief, if you want to call it. But these are still nice. So again, might paint them up and do a comparison right there. So what I've done for now, as part of the work that I did on Saturday, I actually took the gear bay off of its supports, cleaned it all up. That's the dome there for the nose gear wheel, which goes up in there. You got some really nice detail in there. Again, far better than the kit part. That's going to really dirty up nicely. I've got some reference marks here for my center line to sit in the fuselage half. This does not impede at all on the Neo-Omega cockpit tub. Now the kit part tells you, or the kit tells you to use, which is it, part B26, which is actually this part here. I've actually cut it in two. Acts as the kit part does not have a rear cover, so part B26 in the kit acts as the cover for the back end of the wheel well. I think it's that ends, can't remember. But as this is fully closed up, I don't need to use that, and the fact that I've cut it out, well, it's no good to anybody now. So yeah, clean the bay up. Also, the gear door itself has some detail on it, which is really nice. It's got the structure. How much of that you're going to see? But these hinge points, these are really fine. I was actually extremely concerned I was going to snap those off when I took them off their supports, but fortunately I managed to save it, and they do look okay. So I'm going to have to keep them to one side until I'm ready to use it, so I don't ping anything off. These are just some other parts I cut off as part of the Neo-Omega set. This is the rear support for the for one of the ejector seats. Unfortunately, it came off in 2 pieces. It's supposed to be one piece, but oh, kills the breeze. I'll fix that up later. This part here is just like the back support, and will sit above the cockpit tub there. and will sit on the top of the back support there. It's actually a nice fit. It fits flush with the sides of each of the panel there. So so yeah. So that's my efforts for now. That took most of by the time I got up on Saturday, that took most of late morning, early afternoon. Mostly with the sanding. Did some wet sanding on the cockpit tub. Getting all the sidewalls all cleaned up. The sidewalls I actually really like. There's a ton of detail on there. Now what I did notice that whenever I put the cockpit into the fuselage halves, the front end here was slightly off center. However, I'm picking that once I put the sidewalls, mount the sidewalls onto the cockpit sides, it should bring that back. And then obviously we've got the instrument panels and the combing to go over on the top. So I'm going to leave this video here for now. So those are primarily the two sets that I'm using for now that I've done any particular work on, both the Neo Omega set and the metallic detail sets. And then probably between now and the next video, I will probably have most of this painted, and including the seats, and I'll start probably doing some of the photo etch work on the Edward seats. Again, these seats are 3D printed. You can see the supports there. I am concerned about the difference in size, though, with that Edward seat. Is that gonna foul? Look at the difference in the size. That is somewhat concerning, because if that's gonna foul on the canopy, it is going to be a closed open canopy, but I think the rear seat on the Buccaneer is still underneath the canopy when it's open. I could be wrong, but that's going to need some investigating and trial fitting, etc. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, I'll leave it there, and we will hopefully you will see some of this painted. I may even do some live filming showing the painting process. I'm sure you guys all seen it before. Other people do it. I don't want to be copying other people. Yeah, thanks a lot for checking in, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.